All right, welcome back to the deep dive. So our mission, as always, we grab your sources, we go deep, and we pull out the really key insights for you.
Yep, the goal is to get you genuinely well-informed, maybe find some surprising stuff, keep it interesting.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, the source material is, well, it's a transcript from an English learning resource, actually.
And it's all about discussing daily routines.
Daily routines. Okay, so maybe you're thinking, why this topic?
Yeah, it's pretty basic.
But, the source itself makes a really good point right away. It says how you spend your day, these habits, hour by hour, they literally shape your life.
That's a big claim, but it makes sense.
And practically speaking, talking about your routine, the source calls it the bread and butter of everyday conversation. Super useful.
Totally. Small talk, understanding schedules for work, just general curiosity about how people, live. It connects everyone.
Right. So for you, the listener who sent this in, it's not just about learning English phrases, although we will definitely touch on some useful words, the source points out.
It's more about unpacking the actual habits, the way energy shifts through the day, the choices people make.
And even the feelings tied to different times of day. We're going to look at two specific examples from this transcript, two quite different daily structures.
Get a real feel for them.
So the plan is basically to follow the source. We'll walk through a whole day, morning to night.
Pulling out the interesting bits, the main ideas, and some of that vocabulary that helps describe it all.
The source said its own tone feels like listening to friends talking about their day.
Yeah, just hanging out, talking life.
So we'll try and keep that vibe. Simple, real-life stuff, looking at how people make their days work.
Okay, let's get into it then. Mornings.
Mornings! Yeah, the source admits they can be rough. But unavoidable, right? Everything starts there.
Definitely. So we hear from two people in the transcript. One's a computer science student, starts their day around 7 a.m.
And they admit, which I love, they don't just jump out of bed.
No leaps here.
Nope. They just, stare at the ceiling for a minute or two first.
Huh. Yeah, I think a lot of us can probably relate to that little pause before everything starts.
Totally. The other person, they work full-time in customer support. Their start is a bit earlier, around 6:30 a.m.
And their routine sounds, well, maybe a bit tighter. Quicker, clearer, probably has to be, with the job.
And the very first thing this customer support person does, reaches for a big glass of water.
The hydration strategy.
Yeah, they specifically say their brain doesn't work without it. The source flags this as a great habit. What's the takeaway there, do you think? Just personal preference?
Well, it's interesting that the source highlights it, right? I think it's about how a really small physical action can kind of kickstart things.
Like a tiny win, first thing?
Exactly. It's not hard grab water, but they feel it makes a difference mentally. Simple, but maybe really impactful. It shows those little habits can matter.
Okay, yeah, an intentional first move. After that, it's pretty standard stuff for both of them. Brush teeth, wash face.
Maybe a quick shower to properly wake up. Shake off a sleep.
Then breakfast. The student. Super simple. Toast with peanut butter, maybe a banana.
Keeping it light. The customer support rep mixes it up a bit more sometimes. Eggs, oatmeal.
But also admits sometimes, if things are rushed, it's just coffee and a granola bar.
Been there.
While they're eating, though, both of them look ahead. The student checks their study plan, lectures, assignments due.
And crucially, sets one small goal for the day. Just one. To help them focus, they say.
The customer support person does something similar. Makes a short to-do list.
But again, emphasis on short. Like 3 things max they want to get done, not 10.
They say it keeps them focused, but without stress.
And that seems to be a key insight from the source for both examples. Setting small, manageable goals early on. It anchors you.
Stops that feeling of being overwhelmed before you even start.
Right. And the source also points out, just talking about this stuff using verbs like wake up, brush, get dressed. That's basic, useful, real-world language practice.
Yeah, and one big takeaway from this whole morning section in the transcript is talking about your routine, even a simple one, it actually builds confidence.
And those small moments, like the water or the single goal, they really set the tone. They matter more than we might think.
Okay, so that's the morning covered. Wake up, habits, planning.
But the energy changes, right? As the source mentions. What about the afternoon?
Definitely shifts. The source kind of describes the afternoon as the heart of the day. Things get busier.
Right. So for the student, their last class usually finishes around 12:30, then straight to the kitchen.
I mentioned being starving by then. Relatable?
Very. They make someone easy noodles, rice bowl, Maybe just toast and eggs if they're really tired. Simple seems key again.
And the customer support rep, they finish their main work around noon, since they're WFH.
Working from home, yeah. Handling calls, emails.
Logging off means lunch for them, too. Again, quick seems to be the way. Sandwich, cup of tea.
Pretty standard lunch break.
Okay, but after lunch, the student usually has to get back into, deep study mode. Laptop open, assignments, coding.
Not the main work block.
But here's where the source hits on something really important. A key insight.
Okay.
Both of them stress the need for a break. The student is really honest, says they just can't focus without a short break first.
Ah, the energy management piece. That's a recurring theme, isn't it?
Totally. And the breaks they mention, simple stuff again. Short walk, music, maybe just lying down for 10 minutes.
The source points out this gives your brain space. A reset.
And what's powerful is the customer support rep admitting they used to just try and power through, ignore needing a break.
And what happened?
Burned out really fast.
Yeah, sounds familiar for a lot of people.
So now they have this small, deliberate rule. After lunch, minimum 15 minutes pause.
No screen time.
No screen time, no stress, just rest. Then they feel ready for their afternoon tasks.
Which for them includes podcasting.
Yeah. This is what they call their creative time. The source shows them messaging each other, recording, editing scripts.
Okay, that's fascinating. They deliberately built that into their routine. It wasn't just, oh, if I have time.
No, it was an intentional part of their productive afternoon. They chose that instead of, say, scrolling social media endlessly.
That choice is really key, isn't it? Being active, not passive, during that potential energy slump.
Exactly. And the source notes, if you're a student, freelancer, working from home, your afternoon might look kind of similar. A mix of food, core tasks, and maybe something creative or different mixed in.
So the big picture for the afternoon, based on the source, it seemed to be about keeping energy balanced, not just pushing till you drop.
Yeah, recharge intentionally, build in things that feel meaningful, or at least different.
Gotcha. Okay, so after that busy afternoon, then comes the evening. One person in the source calls it their favorite part, the chill zone.
The chill zone, love that. Time to slow down, relax, breathe.
Yeah, after a day of classes, calls, editing, brains feel fried, like they've run a marathon.
The source talks about wanting to switch into slow mode, intentionally unplug.
That's a great word here, unplug. Really captures disconnecting from work, screens, that feeling of being on.
Evenings, based on the source, are really about recharging for the next day.
Makes sense. So for the student, shower right after studying, like a physical and mental reset.
Then cozy clothes, making dinner, something light, quick stir-fry, pasta.
The customer support rep usually eats around 7 p.m. Again, nothing fancy, rice and chicken, maybe leftovers.
Sensible. After dinner, they like to go for a short walk, says the fresh air clears their head.
That's a nice habit. The student doesn't always go out, but has a different ritual.
Oh, yeah.
Lights a scented candle, makes green tea, opens a book.
The cozy setup.
Even just 10 minutes of reading, they say, calms the mind. And what's cool is the source isn't saying, do this specific thing.
Right. It's highlighting that creating some kind of personal ritual is the important part.
Exactly. For the customer support person, it's music. Soft lo-fi beats, maybe some stretching.
Even 5 minutes, they say, helps their body relax.
It's like a signal to the brain, isn't it? Okay, time to wind down now.
They both mention trying to avoid screens in the evening, which, let's be honest, is tough.
Very tough.
They admit they sometimes sneak in one episode of a show.
The wind down watch.
Yeah. But they try to stop at least 30 minutes before bed. That intentional boundary, it's a practical tip from the source. Acknowledging reality, but setting a limit.
Good point. That's when the actual pre-bed routine kicks in. Wash face, brush teeth, maybe some journaling.
Yeah, the student really values journaling when they actually do it. Helps reflect on the day.
Even just a few lines.
Yep, what they felt proud of, what they might try differently tomorrow, just processing.
The source describes it as a quiet way to say goodbye to the day. Deal with it before sleep.
And it notes, look, evenings vary for everyone. You might be out socializing, you might be home, but the main idea is the same.
Intentionally make time to slow down.
Yeah, your brain and body really need that gear shift. It's so true. Okay, we've done morning, afternoon, evening. Now the final chapter the source covers. The night routine.
Ah, yes. The night routine. This is where things really slow right down.
For the student, room's dark, maybe a tiny night lamp, world gets small and calm.
They explicitly say they try not to think too much then.
Yeah.
Gets to be.
The customer support rep has a similar vibe. intentionally stopping the planning, the checking.
And a concrete strategy they use, phone on the other side of the room.
Out of reach, out of mind. Smart.
Then, a simple thing. Breathe deeply. 10 slow breaths. Just clear the thoughts.
That deliberate disconnect, focusing on breath, the source really highlights that as an anchor.
For the student, maybe warm milk or chamomile tea. Old habit makes them feel safe, sleepy.
Them wrapped in a blanket, just lying still.
The source even mentions a silly habit one of them have. Sloughing the pillow 3 times before lying down.
Oh, okay.
Sounds tiny, but it's like a little physical cue. We're done now. A signal to the body and mind. And then, like in the morning, just staring at the ceiling for a bit, letting the noise fade.
Yeah, that quiet moment seems really important. The source captures it well. One person sometimes listens to calming nature, sounds rain, ocean waves.
Describing it almost poetically, like being rocked to sleep by the planet itself.
Wow. Yeah.
And maybe one of the most profound bits from this night section, what they do if their mind is racing.
What's that?
They whisper a few kind words to themselves. You did your best. You're okay. Let go now.
Oh, that's lovely.
Like tucking your thoughts in for the night is how it's described.
Yeah.
Bringing some self-compassion right at the end.
That's so important and gentle. The source kind of suggests night isn't just about physical rest, but maybe about forgiveness.
Yeah, of yourself, of the day not being perfect. It's framed as necessary to reset, ready for tomorrow.
Right. The routines they talk about, they don't have to be super elaborate or perfect.
According to the source, they just need to feel like peace. Because, as it nicely puts it, every good day ends with letting go.
And woven through all of this, morning to night, we've naturally hit on some of that vocabulary the source flagged.
Yeah, words like unplug, wind down, recharge, cozy.
Leftovers, reset, ritual, reflection, let go.
Push through, burnout, freelancer, starving, sneak in, gentle. Hearing them used like this, tied to real actions and feelings.
Makes them stick, right? Makes them useful.
And that kind of brings our deep dive into this particular source to a close. We've walked through the day, piece by piece, as laid out in the transcript.
Looked closely at how these two different people structure their time.
Yeah, from that first gulp of water to those final kind words at night.
It really hammered home that a routine is this mix, isn't it?
Yeah.
Habits, work or study, creative stuff, and really importantly, self-care and those moments of disconnection.
And the source reinforced that simple idea. Just being able to talk about your routine builds confidence.
And that the small stuff, that 15-minute break, the walk, the breathing, it shapes our experience way more than we probably realize.
We saw how different structures, the quick job routine versus the more fluid student one, both involve managing energy, using breaks as a strategy.
Right, not just a luxury, a strategy against burnout.
And making conscious choices about free time, like podcasting, instead of just scrolling.
So hopefully, hearing about these specific routines, the words used, hopefully it's given you, the listener, a clearer picture. How daily life gets described, the choices involved.
Maybe spark some thinking about your own day.
And the source material we looked at, it mentioned having extra resources available, like a PDF, transcript, exercises, reflection questions.
That's actually a really valuable general point, beyond just this source.
How so?
Well, whatever topic you're diving into, looking for those kinds of extra resources, transcripts, practice stuff, thinking prompts, it helps you take what you hear in a deep dive like this.
And actually use it, apply it.
Exactly. Go even deeper, as they say, turns listening into more active learning.
Absolutely. Makes the ideas really land. So, reflecting on all this, how people design their days, intentional habits, letting go.
And knowing that routines really do shape your life, like the source said.
Here's a final thought for you to mull over. What one small, intentional habit could you maybe add or adjust tomorrow? Something to align your day just a little bit more with how you really want your life to feel.